Welcome to Acquiring Access with Keisha Anderson.
Good morning. Happy Monday, everyone. Thank you for popping in, whether you're doing it live or later on for this episode of Acquiring Access. My name is Keisha Anderson, and I am a student storyteller for the Faculty of Student Development. My pronouns are she and her, and this conversation is taking place on the Tecumlip's to Secwepemc territory within the unceded traditional lands of the Secwepemc Nation. Um, Welcome to Acquiring Access. This is a live video series with TRU Student Life. So today, as I mentioned earlier, this is our third episode. If you want to check out more, you can go to the TRU Student Life page on Facebook. And today we have a very cool lady on board to be interviewed. So I would like to introduce you to today's special guest, Nadia Karim, who is an assistive technology specialist for TRU, which is very cool. So I'm excited that you're here, and thank you.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here. This is such a great series.
Fantastic. Yeah, totally. And you're just like such a great, your position is so excellent for this.
Totally.
And you're lovely.
Thank you.
How is your day going today so far? It's Monday morning.
Yeah, you know what? It's been a Monday morning for sure, but it hasn't been horrible. So,
Okay.
how about you?
Yeah, about the same. I'm excited for the rather spring-like weekend we had, and I'm hopeful that's going to continue.
Yeah,
We're back into school after reading break, so it should be interesting.
for sure.
Yeah. So, are you ready for me to just get going on these questions with you?
Yeah, let's jump in.
Awesome. Okay, so my first question for you, and so I'm just wondering if you can tell me more about your role at TRU.
For sure. So like you mentioned, my role is the Assistive Technology Specialist, and I'm part of the Accessibility Services team. So I'm available to provide recommendations about which software or apps might work best for a student to make sure that they have access to their study materials and that they're able to complete their schooling in a way that suits their needs. I'm here to provide training for different assistive technologies, things like speech to text, text to speech, or screen readers, that kind of thing. And I'm also here to help troubleshoot any tech issues that might come up. So right now I'm meeting with students either over the phone or through BlueJeans. And I should mention I'm actually filling in for a parental leave, so Catherine is usually in this position and she will be back in the fall.
Okay, that's good to know.
Mhm.
Well, yeah, that's a really interesting position, and like assistive technology is, well, like I can definitely speak for myself and for many others. It's just like it definitely makes the university experience go round, like
Totally,
and
yes.
it's so like we're so reliant on it, and like just making sure that it's accessible and all of that stuff, and the troubleshooting can be very time consuming and challenging at times, but like I'm so glad that we have someone like you on campus to help us through that. So that's great.
For
Um,
sure.
yeah. Um, so I'm gonna ask you this question, which I've been asking everybody, which is kind of just to break down the barriers between students and faculty and staff, just kind of reminding students that we've all come from being students, and we will grow to our career or whatever we end up doing with our lives. So I just want to ask, what did you study in school, and what were you like as a student?
Yeah. So I went to school so I grew up in Ontario and I did my undergraduate studies at the University of Toronto. And I did a double major in linguistics and cognitive science and a minor in Buddhist psychology and mental health.
Sorry,
Um,
sorry, Buddhist?
Buddhist psychology and mental health. Yeah,
That's
it's
so
pretty
cool.
unique. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was a lot about mindfulness and kind of how that can benefit the mind really and your mental health.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and then I guess in terms of how I was as a student, um, I've always been like really eager to learn and excited to learn new things, but I for sure faced some struggles in my undergraduate studies, especially the first 2 years. I think for me, going from high school to university was quite a big learning curve, and it definitely took some trial and error to really figure out what worked for me as a learner.
Mhm.
Kind of to figure out your learning style and what study strategies work. And I also commuted, so I took the train an hour each way to school for a couple years.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was working part-time as well, so time management was something I had to learn early on.
Did you
Um,
study on the train?
sometimes I would nap, sometimes I would study. So it was kind of nice. Like you either had that chance to rest or to get some work done as well. Yeah, that's me.
Many times for sure, and like, and you said you worked as well. Like that's, yeah, I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that. The balancing so many things, and yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, I am like so interested in the things that you studied in school, like all of them. But so and that kind of leads to my next question, which is I just wanted to ask you about what your professional pathway kind of looked like. Like what other careers have led up to this point and kind of that journey, if
hmm
yeah, if you would.
For sure. So I I always I always knew that I wanted to work with people and like support people in any way that I can. And I was fascinated with language and speech, which is why I studied linguistics. And then after my undergrad, I actually went on to do some postgrad studies in communicative disorders. So after I graduated, I actually worked in the field of speech and language pathology for several years. And in that field, at the time, it was pretty hard to find permanent positions. So I sort of bounced around, filling in for different maternity leaves, which ended up actually being really great because I got to experience working in like, a variety of different settings and with different populations. So I've worked in hospitals, in community care, in preschools, and within clinical settings. And during this time, I was providing speech and language intervention for
Mhm.
individuals, so of all ages and of all backgrounds. And I really enjoyed that, and it was a great opportunity to get to know kind of what I enjoyed and what I excelled at. And one of the positions during this time was um, I was working with an organization called Kaya, which stands for Communication Assistance for Youth and Adults, and they provide support to individuals who require augmentative or alternative communication systems due to them having a severe communication disability.
Okay.
So, yeah, so I really enjoyed my time there, and this was the role where I first started working with a lot of assistive technologies. So things like speech generating devices or eye gaze systems, different communication apps, and that kind of thing.
Hmm.
And I guess
What's an eye gaze system, if I may?
yeah, for sure. So for individuals who have severe communication disability and perhaps also physical disability, so they can't use their hands or other parts of their body to use a communication device. So what it does actually is it tracks your eye movement
Mhm.
so that you can select things on a screen.
Okay, very interesting.
Yeah, really, really cool.
Oh, yeah, it's actually amazing the level of specialized assistive tech like available to people with varying disabilities. It's really
Totally.
amazing.
There's so much out there. Yeah.
Anyway, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, not at all. And I guess I just found I really enjoyed working with these devices, and it seemed to come pretty naturally to me. I really like that intersection of technology and accessibility.
Mhm.
And so that's why I was really excited when this role became available because it's basically exactly that.
And you get to explore like a range of different things probably, hey?
Exactly, yeah. So instead of just communication, I get to experience all different types of technologies.
And has there been Like any ones that you've encountered recently that have proven particularly interesting to you?
In terms of technologies?
Yeah. Yeah. Like some new
Hmm.
ones that you're like, wow, like this is really fascinating. Or has it kind of all like been pretty like you're like everything's kind of been pretty fascinating?
Yeah, yeah, that's yeah, because I've been learning a lot in the past little while. So everything is pretty interesting in terms of like for the students here. Most of it has been like speech to text and text to speech, because that's really what students are looking for right now for their studies.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah,
Very cool.
what's your favorite assistive tech?
Um,
You
nice.
use NVDA, right?
Well, actually, I'm currently using JAWS. So for people who
Oh.
don't know what we're talking about, so I, because a lot of people wouldn't, I am visually impaired, so I use screen reading software on my laptop to navigate, and a lot of visually impaired people do use that, and so there's two main ones that we use. One is called JAWS, and one is called NVDA. So I'm currently using JAWS. And but I would say my favorite piece of assistive tech that I have ever used is
Mhm.
probably it's a Braille note taker device that I used for quite a long time. It's called a Braille Sense Polaris, and it's
Mhm.
essentially a Braille tablet, and it's just a great device in a lot of ways. Sometimes it can be a little temperamental, but
For
it's
sure.
really good. I mean, not all of them can. Uh,
Yes.
but it's definitely gotten me through a lot of things, and it's just affordable and great because Braille can be quite a bulky item. But in terms of like other assistive tech that I've seen other people with disabilities use, well, I mean, I have a family member who is a specialist with people with disabilities as well, and I've heard them talk about different devices that they are learning about, but I gotta say, like that eye gaze device, that sounds super fascinating to me.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you gotta wonder sometimes. Like I definitely catch myself wondering, like how do people with this disability navigate the world, or how do you do things if you can't use your hands, or how do you
Mhm.
do things if you can't use your voice? Like it's totally fascinating, and like I know that there are ways that people do things, and I certainly don't know about them. I don't know about many of them yet, but I'm not, I have an open mind that is aware that there are lots of ways that these challenges can be overcome, and technology is a pretty amazing way. So.
Yeah, it is, and it's just like every year there's something even cooler that comes out, so it's really amazing.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. It's evolving quite quickly too.
Totally, yeah.
Yeah. Cool. I like that you asked me that. Yeah, how the tables have turned. Um, that's awesome. Okay, well, all right. I'm gonna ask you another question, which is kind of a little bit unrelated, but it's still interesting. So, do you have I have it written down as do you have any hobbies? Most people have hobbies. I'm gonna just ask like what are your hobbies, if you have any in particular, or do you have like a side hustle going on? I keep doing the air quotes because it's like a big buzzword right now, and people like make fun of you sometimes if you.
Yeah, that's a huge buzzword. But um, yeah, in terms of hobbies, I mean, I love to get outside as much as possible, whether that's hiking or canoeing, camping,
Hmm.
that kind of thing. I'm also really interested in herbalism, which is essentially the study of the different ways that plants can be used as medicine. So I like to make like different tea blends for my friends and family, and I've also sold them at a couple farmers markets as well. Um,
Cool.
so yeah, it's like a kind of fun hobby slash side hustle I
I
like to
love it.
do. Yeah. How
Um,
about you?
well, I will answer you, but first I must know. Can
Yes.
can you tell me one type of tea blend that you've concocted and what it does? I'm interested.
Yeah. That's a good question. Um, There's one that I really like. It's really simple. It's just spearmint leaves and
Mhm.
red raspberry leaves, and it's supposed to be really good for specifically women's hormonal balance.
Oh, really?
So
Interesting.
yeah, so that's been helpful in my own personal life, and then if I know that some friends that also have some hormonal issues going on, I found that's helped them as well.
Wow, that is so cool. I'll definitely have
Yeah,
to ask you about that later on.
yeah, for sure.
On the side. Okay, what are my hobbies? I also love being outside and I love
Yeah,
hiking. I alpine skiing when I can. I haven't done that in a while, but just because I'm saving money. But
yeah, it's expensive.
love that. Big into spin, like spin class,
Nice.
which you're not doing it right now, but do it from home. And just like learning new things. I love reading and movies and just like I don't
Hmm.
know, adventures. I just like trying new things and
I love
seeing.
that. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah, and I was interested to hear you talk about canoeing because I'm really starting to like enjoy paddling stuff, and I'm actually
Mhm.
hoping to get into paddleboarding this summer.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so
Such a nice way to get on the water.
totally, and the water's just such like a peaceful place to be. So
I
most of
agree.
the time, unless it's stormy. All right, so the next question is like a little heavier, but it's a good one. Can you tell me about a time you had to overcome a challenge and what did it teach you about yourself?
Ooh,
And actually, hold
it's a
that thought
big
one sec
question.
because
Yeah.
my roommate's cat is just. One sec. Okay, I'm back. He's just trying to. Sometimes these things happen.
You gave me a couple extra minutes to think about that.
Excellent.
Uh, hmm. I guess what comes to mind is growing up in a small-ish town in Ontario as a person of color and the daughter of immigrants. And that kind of came with a handful of struggles, things like trying to fit in at school and with my peers and friends, but also kind of trying to stay true to my culture and traditions, um, and kind of juggling between the two worlds. I won't get too much into it, but I think that experience has helped me become more resilient um, in different situations and it really taught me to always consider other people's perspectives and to keep in mind that everyone has lived such different experiences. And I think that's important to consider in all aspects of my life, whether that's at work or in my personal life.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like just keeping in perspective like how everybody's journey is going and in relation to how you respond to them.
Totally, yeah.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
question.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, now back to talking more specifically about your job.
Mhm.
What is your favorite part of your job?
Oh, um, I feel like a lot of people have feelings of anxiety around technology, especially recently as things have shifted to the more digital side of things,
Mhm.
more than ever before. So I think I love that I'm in a position that allows me, excuse me, to help ease some of that anxiety and provide supports for students one-on-one. So I love that one-on-one aspect, and it's really awesome to be able to observe that moment when you know that the student is feeling more empowered and confident and know that you've helped them find this new tool that's going to help them reach their full potential.
Absolutely, yeah, the relief.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's nice
that's,
to see.
yeah, absolutely. Um, what are some frequently asked questions that students ask you, and what are some of the solutions that you provide to them?
Um, I mostly get questions about, what kind of software can help me
Hmm.
achieve this or reduce this barrier. And so the answer is always different depending on the student's needs. So it's definitely a case by case basis.
Yeah.
But in terms of solutions, I will meet with the student one-on-one and kind of listen to what their needs are, and figure out what they're trying to achieve. And then with that information, I kind of have a better idea of what technology might be beneficial for them, and I can then provide some training or answer any questions or help them troubleshoot.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, and I do imagine it is a very personal thing for each person for sure.
For sure, yeah.
Okay, who is eligible for your support, and how would they get in touch with you if they were?
So our team works with any student who has a documented disability or some kind of medical condition that would impact their schooling.
Hmm.
That being said, if you're a student who maybe hasn't registered with our office, but you have some questions about assistive technology, I would say absolutely reach out. We'd be happy to provide some support if we can, or else we can provide some resources or someone else who might be a better contact. Um, that being said, TRU also offers a program called Read and Write to
Hmm.
all students and staff. So Read and Write is a literacy software with various tools that can be really helpful for studying and reading and writing.
Yeah.
And as I mentioned, this program is available for everyone in the TRU community, and I'm available to answer any questions that might come up around Read and Write or provide some training. So
That's great. That's great
yeah.
to know.
Yeah, and the best way to get in touch would be to email us, and our email is as@tru.ca. So the letter A, the letter S at tru.ca.
Awesome. That's really great. Um, okay. And I'm assuming like it's often the case for people is they'll meet with an accessibility advisor, and then it would be like they would be like, oh, here's my trouble, and then refer them to you.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the advisors are great, and they can always kind of tell when someone could use some assistive tech, and then oftentimes they'll just let me know and we can book an appointment that way.
Awesome. That's great. Okay, I have one more question for you.
All right.
Um, can you please tell me what accessibility means?
Yeah. Um, so accessibility for me really means breaking down barriers and for everyone to have equal access and opportunities. I think accessibility is beneficial for everyone, and I'm a big proponent of universal design. You
Yeah.
know, the idea that everyone should have all the tools and materials and opportunities available to them in order to succeed. And that doesn't only have to apply to individuals with documented disabilities, but really it's for everyone and anyone who might come from any background or a level of skill or abilities or lived experiences.
That's great. Yeah, universal design is a thing, a buzzword that I've kind of heard come up. I think probably every time I've had a discussion with acquiring access on this series. So
Oh yeah,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
awesome.
and I agree. Like I definitely think that that accessibility is a benefit to everyone.
For sure.
Yeah, and, yeah,
Yeah,
the people who need it and those who are around them, because it's not like it's making by making something accessible, you're not making it inaccessible to the rest of the world. You're just giving them
exactly.
another option of how to access.
Totally. Yeah, I agree with that.
That's great. Thank you so much. I've really enjoyed talking with you. I've
Yeah, you
enjoyed
as well.
receiving your questions too. And no, this has been such a nice interview, and I hope that I hope it's been good for you as well. And yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I love the series that you're doing. It's so
Oh,
great.
awesome! I'm so glad. And I think our next guest is Evelyn Penny, who is a learning
Oh, nice.
specialist. Yeah, yeah.
She's
So
awesome.
yeah, I'm really excited about that too. So, but yeah, I just want to thank you one more time, and just thank everybody who tuned in for acquiring access to this lovely Monday morning, and wishing you all a great week.
Hey, talk to you later.